it instantly gives me credibility over anybody else. And I probably have almost 100% success rate of landing that client to get them to buy a home using me versus somebody else.
So I guess if you could just starting out a little bit, tell me a little bit about yourself and where you're at in the country.
I'm in Chicago, and I've been in real estate in various capacities for about a little over 40 years. I owned a mortgage company for 25 years. I was a real estate investor. I became a national speaker on real estate investing, and I've written some books on real estate investing that I sold at the seminars and conventions that I spoke to around the country. So I've kind of got a little background just about everything in real estate. I got my real estate license about 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. And knowing the power of having written books before, when I saw the Authorify program, and that you gave me the opportunity within your platform to edit the books, I was able to make them more personal and use more of my knowledge in the books so that they, when you gave a book out to somebody, had your picture, your name, and information that you actually wrote,
right,
you had, a lot of command of that client. Right. When you've written a book, you look more authoritative. Yeah. So it was a natural for me to say, hey, I want to use this product.
Right. So how have you been, what type of listings have you gone after with your books?
I'm in a really good area here in the northwest suburbs of Chicago. The sweet spot price is $250 to $300. I'm not focusing on any one particular niche. They're all good.
Yeah.
So, I don't need to, just hone in yet on one, and I'm just developing my real estate business. So, I want to be able to have a lot of different clients from a lot of different backgrounds that with my background, I can service properly and get referrals from, and that's the name of the game.
Right. So, you've been a member for a while now. How's everything been going?
It's been going good. And the one thing that I wanted when I first signed up that you didn't have was the digital version of the books. So I'm using that now too. So I have both the printed version and the digital. And because I know a lot about the Facebook ads platform, I'm now promoting the digital book forms as a free download and giveaway as a lead magnet.
Right. And
it's really powerful, and I'm really happy that you guys came out with that.
Right. So you're putting your book out there in an ad, and how many people do you know kind of roughly what your conversions are on those, or how?
I really just finished editing the seller book. And actually just put it on my KV Core website so that people can download it from there too. I haven't yet started running the Facebook ads for that. And then I just started editing the buyer end of the book. So I'm really busy right now. I haven't had a lot of time to do that, but right. I'm looking forward to doing advertising with that.
Right. So I guess if you could tell me what type of reaction have you gotten from people that you've given the printed books out to as well?
Well, when I go on a buyer, I'm showing homes to new buyers that I haven't met before, it instantly gives me credibility over anybody else. And I probably have almost 100% success rate of landing that client to get them to buy a home using me versus somebody else. Listing appointments that I've gone on when I handed them the seller, what was called the seller business card book, probably 85%, 90% of the time I got the listing. Okay. I've been focusing since starting the real estate side of my business more on buyers first because listings were harder to get.
Right.
So, but every buyer is going to turn into a seller or know somebody who's selling. So I'm kind of reverse engineering it at this point to get my list up of clients that I can remarket to.
Right. And with your experience with writing the books before, that it's something that people hang on to. So it's something that, as you said, those buyers will eventually turn into sellers, and they're going to have that book there that
Absolutely.
you've given them to previously.
Yeah.
How do you give them the book? Or is it something that you give them prior to the meeting, or do you give it to them there at, when you're at the table with them, or, on that initial meeting?
On a listing appointment, I give it to them when I'm sitting at the table with them going over my listing presentation. On a buyer meeting, when I've scheduled showings with a buyer, I give it to them. I have all my, client version of the listings printed out with disclosures for each home and I have a whole packet that I give them. And in that is the book, the buyer book. And I make sure I point out, here's a good resource for you to read in between us looking at homes and finding more homes to go look at next weekend or whatever.
Right. You talked about how you really personalized it for yourself and made the edits. What are some of the things that you've done specifically to make it more, your book?
A lot. I pretty much went through every sentence, every paragraph, every page of the book and tried to, because I'm in Illinois, I tried to tailor the book somewhat to more of Illinois guidelines and regulations than just more standard for generic national.
Right.
And then, of course, I rewrote the foreword to be about me. I rewrote I added the bio about me. I also added a testimonials page to put all of my testimonials on.
Right.
So quite a bit, hours and hours of editing.
Right.
And you guys were great about it.
Well, and I think that's super important. If you're going to make an investment in something, invest the time also to personalize it and make it really work for you.
Yeah. I mean, one of the minor little things, but again, it was kudos to you guys. On one of the books, in the first chapter, there was it's like, what's a realtor? And it says, hi, I'm a realtor and I'm proud of it, right? And there's a female cartoon picture of a realtor. And I'm like, well, I'm a guy.
Yeah.
So I said, do you guys have a cartoon male version? And you said, yeah. And you just edited that and slapped that on there. It's the little things that make that book so valuable.
Right. When your success that you've had, do you have a specific story that you could share with me about how the reaction the book's got, or how it kind of helped gain you the listing?
Oh, just not a specific story, but just generally overall, I was with buyers showing them some homes, and we got done with like 3 or 4 showings, and we were sitting at this one house, and on the breakfast bar in the kitchen, I just opened up this, plethora of information that I typed up and to give them. And then I said, I know you're selling a home too. So I had both the buyer and the seller book, and they looked at it, and the wife said to the husband, she says, wow, we picked a good one. So, when you hear stuff like that, you feel good that, because everybody has the idea of a realtor as kind of a used car salesman, right? And this just gives you an edge above others that give you credibility. And the fact that you can edit the book and have your bio in there. And like I on the back cover of one, on all the books, I have a picture of me when I was speaking. So I'm on stage, and you could see me on stage with hundreds of people in the audience, and instant credibility. It's like, wow, this guy knows what he's doing.
Right. Right. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it keeps reinforcing that fact for you.
Yeah, it's important.
And especially,
I don't care what business you're in.
Yeah,
right?
No, definitely. Yeah. So, just with your previous experience, and now that you are starting this new part of your business, I don't think, if you're publicly speaking, I don't think confidence is an issue, but what does a book do to kind of help with the confidence that you are going to have a successful meeting with a potential client?
Well, like you say, I've had a lot of experience public speaking. So I have the confidence that maybe others don't have. But I'll even tell you that having the book just amplifies that, because you're an authority figure now if you've written a book. So it just takes my previous authority figure stature and elevates it to another level. So I would think it's even more important for people who don't have that background that I have, But even given the background I have, I'm using it. It's a tool. And if you're a carpenter and you don't have the right tools, you're not building a house right. So as a realtor, you got to have the right tools and make the investment, if you want to be successful. And I think it's a great tool.
Right. Well, I appreciate you talking to me about how you're using the book. Are there other things, you talked about wanting to do you're starting the Facebook ads with the digital book and how you give it to the buyers and sellers. Are there other ways that you use the books that we haven't touched on yet?
No, I think sitting down at the table and can't shake hands anymore.
Right.
So, handing them the book, sliding it across the table is important. I'm really looking forward to using the digital advertising and then remarketing using retargeting with Facebook, which is a skill I honed when I had another online business. So, but again, I had to invest in a lot of courses to learn how to do that too. So again, you got to invest in your business and have the right tools.
Right. Touching on that, so for people, we get a lot of people that don't quite know how to do that. We have some courses on our training site to do that, but what are some of the things that you found work the best for targeting, specific areas or specific people?
Well, with Facebook, you don't have the targeting that you used to have. They've really punched us in the gut with that because of the fair housing laws. You used to be able to target by income and male or female, and now it's like, no, you're violating the law. So Facebook only allows you to target within a 15-mile pin drop of a location. You can target by people that have gone to Realtor.com or Trulia or Zillow. It's not the best, but it's better than nothing. But if you have a compelling ad, and that takes practice. Learning how to advertise takes practice because you're just showing up on a feed where people are scrolling. You got to be able to have something that compels them to stop and read what you got. And it's got to be compelling enough for them to click on it. And it goes into all other, I haven't taken your particular course. I've taken a lot of others. But if you have your pixel set up properly on your Facebook account and you have it set up properly on your website, you now can track everybody who clicked on your ad, even if they didn't download your tool, your product. And now you can use a retargeting called a custom audience and resend those specific people another lead magnet. So you can keep yourself in front of these people for pennies.
Yeah.
And it's probably one of the most powerful tools if you know how to use it. And your books are the greatest lead magnet I can imagine out there. So I would recommend your people take whatever course they can, whether it's yours or someone else, on learning Facebook advertising and pixels and custom audiences and lookalike audiences and all of that stuff.
Right. Well, that's awesome. I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me about how you've been using the books and how everything's going. We always love hearing from our members, and it helps not only our team but also our other members to hear these interviews to kind of get ideas from each other.
Yeah, and I just reordered the books too, by the way. My previous books had my previous brokerage logo, so I had to update the books with the new logo and address and some of the additional, email addresses, things like that. So I'm waiting for the final proof, and I should get my new books in the next week or two.